players who complain about JP but have never touched him is insane to me. It's like trying to defuse a bomb without ever having seen a bomb in your life, and you're like, oh, I'll just mash here, and then you explode, you know? When you play a top tier, you learn what is behind their strengths. You learn what ranges they hate, what they secretly can't contest, what habits they rely on, what situations make them panic. This is called perspective taking, the cornerstone of cognitive psychology. You improve by understanding how another brain, even a fraudulent Hashogeki addicted Ryu brain, process information. You know why top players don't cry about top tiers? Because they play them. They know the weaknesses, the blind spots, the lies. I've never heard Xiaohai complain about anything, and that dude, all he does is pick what he thinks is the best characters in the game. That's why he picks Mayan Bison. What's up, party people, and welcome back to some ranked adventures with a side of So today we're going to be talking about one of the greatest subjects of fighting games. I just haven't made a video about it yet. That's the reason why I'm making it, but everyone else probably has. But this is the video about why you should absolutely unapologetically pick a top tier, even if you swear you're a character loyalist. There's a special kind of stubbornness in the fighting game community, a mythic generational curse, a sickness passed from Street Fighter 2 players who refuse to stop picking Blanca, even after getting perfected like 20 rounds straight. The belief that real fighting game players don't pick top tiers, real players grind it out, learn hard way, stay loyal, and other phrases is usually said by people who've never touched, anything other than the character that they played. Which is fine, but it's nonsense. It's everything with the fighting game community. Learning more and more is just ego-based, wrapped in a poverty mindset. Wrapped in lies we tell ourselves to avoid self-improvement. So let's break the curse. You should pick a top tier. Yes, you there. Yes, you. Yep. Not sell your soul, not abandon your main, and certainly not join the church of the Ryu spammers. Ugh. You're picking a top tier because it will make you better at the game. You've already learned what you can with your character. You should learn a top tier to evolve. You don't have to play them, you know what I mean? You don't have to play them religiously. You don't have to, they're not your main, yada, yada, yada. You should pick them so you can get better. So, whenever I think top tier in Street Fighter 6, I think, Mai, Ed, Bison, JP, Ryu, and then like Akuma. Akuma is probably going to be a little bit harder, to pick than these ones, because I think picking an easy to play top tier is probably the better ones. Probably take Ed out of the equation unless you really like him as well. Probably narrow it down to Mai, Bison, Ryu, and JP for this thought process. It's strong because you express the game core systems at maximum efficiency. Picking top tier like these guys are like the cliff notes for what the meta has developed into. You pick JP, congratulations, you're taking an accelerated course in screen control, advantage management, mental stack. Pick Bison, it's all tempo manipulation, gaslighting your opponent, thinking that they can ever press a button against you and then they lose for it. Pick Ed, you're learning priority, turn stealing, power of his normals and stuff. Pick Ryu, and it's just fundamentals, 301, robbery, 402, with a nice twist of Hashogeki fraudulence thrown in there to make you think you're really good at the game. Top tiers don't just win easier, but they teach you faster. Psychologically, this aligns with something called a fluency theory. When learning feels smoother, the brain absorbs patterns more efficiently. So your brain literally learns more when the game feels less like you're chiseling combos into stone tablets. Picking a top tier isn't cheating. It's efficient neural data processing. So you really, it goes down to the saying, you can't beat what you understand. People used to always learn characters in Street Fighter 4 that they were having trouble against, and that's how you learn matchups back in the day. Essentially, if you want to kill God, you must first become God, or at least dabble in God's tool set, Number of players who complain about JP but have never touched him is insane to me. It's like trying to defuse a bomb without ever having seen a bomb in your life, and you're like, oh, I'll just mash here, and then you explode, When you play a top tier, you learn what is behind their strengths. You learn what ranges they hate, what they secretly can't contest, what habits they rely on, what situations make them panic. This is called perspective taking, the cornerstone of cognitive psychology. You improve by understanding how another brain, even a fraudulent Hashogeki addicted Ryu brain, process information. You know why top players don't cry about top tiers? Because they play them. They know the weaknesses, the blind spots, the lies. I've never heard Xiao Hai complain about anything, and that dude, all he does is pick what he thinks is the best characters in the game. That's why he picks Mai and Bison. And they're easy to play. If you never pick a top tier, you're fighting Ghost with the blindfold on. If you do pick one, you're cooking Ghost for dinner. You know what I'm saying, baby? So your main is your heart, your favorite, your comfort food. Your top tier is the secondary, is your gym membership, essentially. The thing you use to build muscles your main doesn't train you in. Every character has gaps. Maybe your main can't anti-air. Maybe they like Aki or something, or even Rashid. Maybe they lose to zoners. Maybe they got bullied by Rushdown. Maybe your main character is Lily. Who knows? Or E Honda. You know what I mean? When you pick a top tier secondary and get them to the same rank as your main, you suddenly unlock cross training effects. You recognize situations your main never enters. You understand matchups on both sides. You learn decision trees that were invisible before. Flow charts, essentially. You develop play styles you can bring back home. This is called transfer of learning. The skill set you develop in one context, boosting performance in another. It's real psychology. There are studies, papers, graphs, probably a TED talk on this, honestly. The point is your main gets buffed the moment you learn someone stronger. That's the point. So pick a top tier, kill your ego. The ego's the real boss fight here we're talking about. There's this belief that picking a top tier is selling out, which is hilarious because nobody in Diamond Rank is getting a sponsorship deal from loyalty gods. The belief is pure ego, anxiety. I don't want people to think I won because of a character. I don't want to be seen as carried. I want to win honestly, even though all you animals pick Ryu and say how honest he is, and I laugh at you. Here's the psychological truth. Ego slows learning, curiosity accelerates it. When you pick a top tier, you're admitting it. I want to learn what makes a character so strong. What makes a strong character strong? I want to learn what meta is. That's humility, that's growth, that's adulthood. You don't need to marry them, you need to study them shamelessly, like a scientist dissecting a frog. Ego keeps you bad, top tiers set you free. So when you've played a top tier, you predict their patterns faster. We already covered this. You can learn like whiff punishing stuff in training mode essentially, but you want your brain to build schemas, mental models for categorizing and anticipating information. It's the same process chess grandmasters use, or musicians, or surgeons. Once you've piloted a top tier, every top tier you fight feels like someone doing an impression of you. Oh, he's gonna EX Fireball after he takes a throw here. He thinks he's gonna cook me, and then you punish him, and then you feel alive, you feel like you actually learned something. Top tiers aren't just strong, they're informative. That's why you should learn one, so you can understand them. Let's be honest, learning fighting games is stressful. Ranking up is stressful. You're juggling neutral, spacing, mental stack, tech and throws, dealing with lag and pain. The PS5 doesn't melt like a fondue set. Top tier smooths that out a little bit. Psychologically speaking, they reduce cognitive load. The amount of mental effort needed to make decisions with Mai is not nearly as difficult as someone like Blanca, or someone you have to work harder with. When the answer is usually just EX fan drive rush, it makes life a lot easier for you. Top tiers are the blueprint for winning. This is meta, you know what I mean? We're talking about learning meta here. This is the big one. Top tiers are strong not because of favoritism, but because they align most closely with what the game rewards currently. Playing them teaches you what the system favors, where their damage is at, which mechanics matter most, how to generate consistent win conditions, how tempo and pressure actually operate in the game engine. You're not learning the character, you're learning the design philosophy behind the entire game. That's the insight that separates masters from mediocre grinders. In conclusion, picking your top tier is not selling out, it is leveling up your game. You're not abandoning your main, you're not betraying your identity, you're equipping yourself with the perspective, fluency, and mechanical insight the game is begging you to understand. Top tiers are not shortcuts, they are teachers, professors. Some of them are evil professors that throw a lot of Hashogekis out there and get 70% of your life bar off one standing heavy punch. If you can get a top tier to the same rank as your main, you're playing Street Fighter on 2 difficulty settings at once, and your growth grows exponentially. So, Pick JP, pick Ed, pick Bison, pick Mai. Please don't pick Ryu. There's enough of them running around already. We covered that in another video. You're probably playing Ryu anyway, so you should probably learn a different top tier to understand why Ryu's so good. Because a lot of you goobers don't think he's good, and once more, I laugh at you. Don't have to play him forever, just long enough to steal their knowledge away from them, because the truth is simple. If you want to stop losing, pick a top tier. Just pick a top tier. Just pick a top tier. I am the Depressed Gamer. I need you all to be good to yourselves. Please like, comment, subscribe. You know I appreciate every single one of you who do so. If you made it this far, you probably liked the video at least a little bit. Gotta keep on struggling, people. It's hard out there for everybody, but you know, I will see you in the next one.